Hi, welcome. When in 2013, Anna Usharina failed to give checkmate to her opponent Olga Jiraya, everyone talked about this subject. So on those days, Anna Usharina was a woman champion, world champion, and she is grandmaster. She is a woman grandmaster, and after 50 moves, she failed to give this checkmate. So everyone talked about that because how it's possible a so strong player failed this checkmate, and why does that happen? Well, today I will teach you how to give this checkmate, and most important than that, I will show you why this elementary checkmate is so important, because this isn't important just because of the end game. You have value for the middle game. So let's jump to our video. But before that, did you know that almost 87% of the viewers isn't subscribed? Why don't you like me? I'm a good person and I want to help you to improve. To help me help you, you just need to subscribe. It's quite simple, it's free, and if you're enjoying the content, you can help too, pushing the like button, put the notifications on, and if you have some suggestion or some critics too, you can tell me on the comments below. So it's easy, it's free, and I will be extremely grateful. So thanks a lot. Let's go to our video. So about our checkmates. Well, this is considered an elementary checkmate. And when we talk about the easiest checkmates, everyone thinks about, oh, okay, let's give checkmate with king and rook against king and queen, etc. But this is considered an elementary checkmate. So it's supposed to be easy. And why is this checkmate so important? This is important because after you know how to give this checkmate, you will improve a lot your middle game. Why is that? Because you will improve the coordination between the knights and the bishops. And you want that because you want to play dynamic positions, you want to attack, and you want to know how to defend. Another example, when you know how to give these checkmates, you know how to dominate some squares of the board. We will talk about this subject too on another video. So this checkmate, it's fundamental. So it's very important to know that. So we will see this in three phases. First, we will see the checkmate pattern, because in my opinion, we should start by that. The second part will be the W technique, and finally the third, it's how to give this checkmate from the beginning until the end, doing the opposition and trying to push the king to a rank or a file, using of course the opposition and the two minor pieces. So let's go to our first phase. So this position you're seeing right now is our pattern to give checkmate. So very important. As you're seeing, the knights is on e5 and the bishop on g5. I want you to teach you a technique. So when you put the knights, I normally I think like that. I don't know if you're going to think that this is weird, but I divide the chessboard in four squares. And I want the knight to be always on the corner of the square where the king is. And the bishop will be two squares near the knight. Why is that important? Because the bishop is blocking these two squares, and the knight is blocking this square. And my king is blocking the other three squares. So this king is locked inside this square. So this is already an easy way to win this game. Why I'm showing that? Because you need to know this pattern. Another important thing, you just can give, according that your opponent will play correctly, you just can give checkmate on the corner of the same color of the bishop. So, talking about the defense, imagine that you're playing with the king. You will want to run with your king to the opposite color of the bishop, because you will complicate a lot the checkmate to your opponent. Okay, so I think the most correct way of studying this checkmate is assuming that your opponent will play correctly. Okay, so how will we give this checkmate? I will not show you the most quick way, because I think this strategy is easier because of the patterns. So first we will give up position. Then let's see, if the king goes here, we will close a little bit this square. After king, bishop goes here, and everything is locked. And after king goes here, king here, and now it's quite simple, because just the king and the bishop are controlling all of the squares. So this king is locked on those two squares. After this move, you just need to think on the checkmate pattern. You're going to put the knights on the same file of the king, but this works too. But I think like that. For me, it's easier. I don't know. So knight here, king here, and now knight check. And after king goes to h8, bishop checkmate, it's over. So I'm going to show you again. So we close, and after that, it's very, very, very easy. Of course, I want to show you everything, and I don't want this video to be too long. So imagine you can try, for example, a different approach like king to h7. Here it's the same. We always do opposition. And after this move, we can close king, bishop again, and now you already know. Knight check and bishop checkmate. So it's very, very, very easy. So this is the first phase. Now, okay, you already know the pattern that you want to reach. Now, it's important to think about the fact that our opponent won't facilitate the checkmate. He will run to the opposite color of the corner of the bishop. So to do this, we will need to apply the W technique. So, as you are seeing, the king is on a light square and the bishop is of a dark square. So, to give this checkmate, you need to push the king to this corner or to this corner. So, how will we do that? We will do that applying this technique. So, I think always in controlling the corner with the knight. And here, very important, I don't want to play the knight to b6 because I will block my bishop, just to show the king has this available square. So I don't want the king to do that. So I want my knight and my bishop to work together. They need to be coordinated. So I will first play knight c7, and I'm giving check right now, and the bishop is controlling the square on a7. The king will run to b8, and now, very important, this square is being controlled by me, by white. So I just need to lose a tempo. So you can play bishop here, 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 or here, it doesn't matter, but it's important to be on the same diagonal, or else if you push to another diagonal, the king will run away. So you need to make something, it doesn't matter the square, but on the same diagonal. After this move, the king is forced to play to c8. And after that, now I need to lock another square. I don't want the king to go to b8. So to do that, I will play bishop to a7. And now this square is controlled and this square is controlled by me. So this king is forced to go to the other side. So the king will play to d8. And now I will show you why is this technique called the W technique. We will do a W with the knight. So we already played knight here, and now we will do this, and this is already a W. And eventually we can play or not this move. So let's go. If we play knight to d5, here we will see the two variants. The first one is this one. The king can go to c8. The second one is this one. Most of you will think that this one is the most complicated, but the two approaches are very easy. You just need to practice a lot. Do this position several ways on the board, on the computer, it doesn't matter. You just need to practice, okay? So let's see the first approach. King to c8. Now, very simple. The bishop is locking this square and the king is locking those three squares. So we will play knight e7, giving check. This king is forced to play to this square. And now we push the king to d6. And look, we are controlling this square and those squares too. So the king needs to play to this direction. And now we will continue this technique playing what? Bishop to b6. And we are always locking the squares to push the king to the corner that we want to push. We want to push the king to the dark square because our bishop is from this color. So after the king goes here, now this is very, very, very important because this king wants to run by the dark square. So this is being controlled by white and this square too. So the only way to run is on these squares or even those squares. So think about this. He wants to run by this square. So it's quite easy to know what is the best move. We want to play bishop to e3. And after, for example, king plays here, we lock the squares with bishop f4. This is very important because now we will reach our position. After king goes, for example, here, let's see if he can go away. And we have bishop g5. And after bishop e8, now we will lock the square. So knight c6, it's everything locked. And after king goes to f7, knight e5, and we have the first checkmate pattern. Now it's quite easy because the knight is controlling, the bishop is controlling, and the king is controlling. If he does that, I will show this part quicker. If you have any questions, please see the point too. Now we can do this or this. It's the same because the bishop is locking this square. And now it's quite simple. King, king, and okay, here I close. Let's continue. And opposition, opposition, knights, knights, and checkmate. So it's quite easy. So we've seen the first technique, but we need to see the alternative. So we've seen that this is bad because we want to coordinate the two pieces. But now we need to see the other alternative. So we've seen the idea where the king goes to c8. But this king can go to e8. And it looks like the king will be to the light square corner. But no, we won't let this king run away. First, we will play king to d6. And after king goes to f7, we will play knight e7. Very important. This king cannot go in this direction. And if he plays here, of course, we can lock this square with bishop. And if he plays to this square, you already know the move because this is the same as the last variation. We just need to close this square. So bishop to e3, and it's locked. Now this king doesn't have any available square to run away, so he will be locked on the square. Everything is close, so king here, knight here, king here, and let's go to the party. So let's see, something like that. Again, now I'm going to play king here just to be different, and king here, bishop, king, knight, knight, and it's done. We have our checkmate. So we already seen in 15 minutes the checkmate pattern and the W technique. Now we need to see our final position. So how can we lock or push the king to a rank or a file? So, well, probably this is one of the most annoying positions we can have on this endgame. Because, okay, here the bishop is on a1, the knight is on h1, so this is kind of ugly, and yeah, it looks we will lose a lot of tempos. So you just need to think about the principles. So you want to coordinate all of your pieces, you want to do opposition with your king, and you want to push your opponents. The ideal idea is to push this king to the same diagonal of the bishop, so to this square or this square. Of course, we will assume that our opponent does know how to defend, and he will run to the opposite color squares. So, first step, we can play bishop. And the bishop is controlling those two squares, and the king is controlling those squares. So, I'm assuming this king will run, and we do opposition again. And again, we are controlling those squares and these squares. If this king goes, for example, to this direction, we can lose a tempo and coordinate our pieces playing, for example, the knight. We don't lose nothing when we play this. And after king tries to run to the light squares, this is the most, in my opinion, the most annoying way to defend. Because if the king goes here, the bishop locks again, and this will be quick, because then we will apply the W technique. Don't forget, you just need to know the pattern that the knight will control the corner, okay? And you never lock the square of the bishop. You want to coordinate always the two pieces. So I think probably the most annoying is this idea to try to run away with the king. And here we just need to coordinate our pieces. Put your pieces together and do opposition, and you will lock this king on a file or on a rank. So after this move, opposition again, lateral one this time. And after this move, okay, here, I don't know, because I'm strange, I like to give the checkmate always on this direction, but this is, yeah, this is my mindset. I don't know why. Probably it's because of my experiences, but yeah, this is playable too. But probably he would run on this direction, but this is good for you, so any problem about that. But because of the fact that I want to show you all the techniques, I think this is more interesting to show, and I show that is possible to give this checkmate on the most difficult way of defending in less than 50 moves. Because if you don't give this checkmate in less than 50 moves, you're going to draw. So very important, this rule. So here the king will go on this direction, and now we play knight to block this square. This is one idea. You can do this idea too. Everything is possible. You just need to think about applying your technique. So I'm locking the ranks and to give the checkmate on the other direction. So this is the idea. And now let's reach the position we've seen. So very important. We've already locked the king on this rank. We want to push the king to this square, to h8. And now it's very easy. Don't forget, you want to coordinate the knight and the bishop. They work together. One piece doesn't lock the other one. So first we attack the corner, then we lose the tempo. Next, we lock the square, and we will push step by step the king to the corner. So after this, we continue with our idea. And after this idea, of course, knight check, you already know that. And this is already easy because you know that this king will try to run by the dark squares. So this continues with bishop f4, and we've already seen everything. So now you already know how to give this checkmate. Of course, this is the theory, but do you know how to apply it? I have 3 exercises for you just to finish the video because I don't want this video to be too long. And the first one is this. Okay, we are seeing this position, and the question is, here you're playing with the black king. What is the best direction to play this king? Should you go with your king to this direction, or should you go to this direction? A, B, or C? Well, I'm going to put on with different colors. Okay, now it's better. Green, blue, or orange? Well, the answer is orange. Of course, if you can, try to have your king on the middle of the chessboard, and after your king is locked, you will want to be always putting your king to the light square. It's always the opposite color of the bishop. Okay, very important. Second position. In this position, I want to know what is, in your opinion, the best continuation. Of course, you're playing with whites. And here, it's very important to know the technique. Is this the step 2? Is the step 3? Or is this the step 4? Are you recognizing? Well, the answer is this is the step 2. So the knight is, look, we have the square. The knight is on the corner of the square. The bishop is locking the other 3 squares. So this king will need to control those squares. So because of the fact that the bishop is controlling this square, this is already a very easy position. So we can continue with king. And after the opposition, we will lock. The difference is that we are locking on the other direction, but is the same technique. It's always the same. This is very, very easy. Third and last exercise. So this one, the question is, what would you play here? In your opinion, as the white player fails the technique, is this the step 2, 3, or 4? What is that? If you want, you can put on pause and think a little bit, because this is very important. You need to know the patterns, okay? So, yes, the technique is correct, and we are applying the point 3, the W technique. So the king wants to run away to the light squares, but we apply the W with the knight. So we play knight e7, and now the king is forced to try to move to the dark squares. So after king plays to f6, very important, don't forget this move. This is so important. Bishop to e3. If you want, you can try to memorize, thinking that the bishop will be at the same rank, I think, as the knight. So after king goes here, we will lock this king on the square. And now the technique is quite easy. I'm going to show you again because I want you to know this very well. So opposition, opposition, and now don't forget this probably is more complicated. And so I like to think like that. I think it's easier. It's not the quicker way, but I think it's very easy to apply this checkmate. So we've seen the 3 steps to give checkmate with bishop plus knight. So now I would like to know if you tried to apply this on an official game or if you're practicing at your home. Please tell me if you learned this checkmate and if you improved this endgame technique and elementary checkmate. So don't forget, I put a new video every day. And please, if you're not subscribed, I need your help. Don't forget, subscribe, notifications on, push the like button because my goal is you. I want you to improve. Don't forget. Till tomorrow, have a good night. Bye bye.